So on Wednesdays, we have been working with this book by Roshi Joan Halifax called Standing at the Edge. And one of the things that we did, the person who brought this book to our awareness was our wonderful Sangha member, is our wonderful Sangha member, Christopher. And Christopher is now a full-time substance use counselor, and so he wasn't able to lead the meditation anymore. But he started to read this book with us, and we have been studying it for over 2 years now. And we've really taken on the tradition in the monastic community to read very slowly. So we just take a couple of paragraphs at a time so that we take these Buddhist teachings and these perspectives and really discern them, take them in, pull them apart, try to make them as relatable and as applicable as we can. We have been discussing the cultivation of compassion, universal compassion. And this is all about having that feeling of wanting to help someone to be of service and finding whatever way you can to do that, the smallest thing to the largest thing. And one of the places that we start cultivating universal compassion is with ourselves. And so we're at that part of this chapter where we are exploring qualities called the 6 Parametas. And these qualities are essential for the cultivation of true universal compassion. We all have these qualities already. They are part of our Buddha nature. The practice is simply figuring out what is in the way, what is inhibiting us from living these qualities out loud and aligned with our aspirations. We've already talked about 2. We talked about generosity and we talked about virtue. Today we're going to talk about 2 more briefly based on what Roshi writes. And the 2 that we're going to talk about are patience and wholeheartedness. Wholeheartedness is a really, it's a really beautiful quality because it's not, I don't want you to get confused by thinking it's wholesome or holier than thou or oh so spiritual that you're above the mess. Wholeheartedness, sada, is to lead with the heart, to show up leading with the heart. And really the emphasis is keep showing up. Keep showing up. And that is an interesting thing to play with because we have this mindset in the West that we're either showing up with perfect consistency all the time or we're not showing up at all. It's very black and white. The Buddhist perspective is much more flexible, it's much more gray. So when we come to practice, some people come to practice daily. Some people come to practice once a month. Some people come to practice every 4 or 5 months. But the point is they keep coming to the practice. That is wholeheartedness. Everybody with me? Yeah? All right. So let's begin. And let me invite everybody to find a posture in the body that feels full of ease. And maybe even get a little wiggle out if you need to, like just wiggle it all out before you settle in. Shake it off. The other 2 parametas that I didn't mention are concentration and wisdom. Whenever we practice one quality, we practice all of them. Let us set an intention for the practice today. Ooh, this is a good one. This one reads, may your fire purify. May your fire purify. Oh, let's just take some deep breaths together. Turn your gaze inward. Even if you're out driving today or making your lunch or exercising, you can turn your gaze inward with your eyes open. And if you're lying down and you're having a little bit of rest, turn the gaze inward to the relaxation. If you're able to sit on a cushion, again, turn the gaze inward to the body, its sensations, to the mind, its thoughts and stories, to the mood. And if you can, simply find a posture that enables you to observe yourself with a little bit of space so that you don't have to jump into the body and all its aches and pains. You don't have to jump into the mind stream or the story stream. You don't have to ride the emotional waves. You're just observing. Wow, look at that ache and pain. Look at those feelings of irritation and how they tighten the muscles in the shoulders. Look at those thoughts of judgment. I wonder what's motivating them. Just see if you can depersonalize it a little bit. And remember the qualities that we're bringing forward. Generosity. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself plenty of space for this practice. Cultivating virtue, your highest aspirations. Cultivating patience. It takes time to get this down. Cultivating wholeheartedness. Soften, friends. We're so edgy and harsh sometimes. It doesn't feel comfortable to be soft. Some of us need a little more softness than others. We're just talking a little bit. Bring your awareness to concentrating a little bit. And then finally, the sixth paramita is listen to your wisdom. Listen to that Buddha nature. Don't take my word for it. This is what Roshi has to say. The third perfection is patience. Revolutionary patience with others and with ourselves. Patience means being fully present in the present moment and letting go of the aggression we might experience when we realize that we cannot control outcomes. The flight is canceled and we blame the reservation clerk. Our close friend is dying and the nurse is slow in checking her vitals. We blow up at this harried clinician who is caring for too many patients. We want things to go our way. We want a timely outcome. We want closure. We can't bear to wait, to pause, to trust, to just let go. When I think about patience, I think about A.T. Ariyaratne, who leads the Sarvodaya Shmamadana movement in Sri Lanka. I'm so sorry, friends. That is an enormous mouthful. The Sarvodaya Shramadana movement in Sri Lanka. I spent time with Ari, as his friends call him, in Japan years ago at a meeting of Buddhists from all over the world. It was the largest Buddhist meeting in Sri Lanka, and Sarvodaya uses the teachings of the Buddha as a powerful means for compassionate social change. Sarvodaya is a way for people to express their natural compassion by working together to improve the conditions of their local communities so that economic and social healing from war can happen. Ari told me that his country has seen 500 years of conflict among Hindus, Muslims, and Buddhists. 400 of those years were also spent under colonial oppression. I was staggered by these numbers. Then Ari looked at me with eyes gleaming and said, "It will take 500 years to transform these conditions, and I have a plan, a 500-year plan." Ari is a patient man. Ari explained that his 500-year peace plan includes peace activities around the country, followed by economic development projects in the poorest areas of Sri Lanka. He added that every 100 years, a council of elders will need to assess how things are going. Ari is not young. He's in his 80s. He is healthy, but reality will prevail. Yet all the perfections are his allies, especially patience, and also wholeheartedness, the fourth perfection. Ari knows what it is to live life as a compassionate imperative with no holds barred. In my own life, I try to practice wholeheartedness as an antidote to the subtle discouragement that occasionally arises. It takes energy and determination to keep showing up, whether in the hospital, classroom, or boardroom, the refugee camp, or war zone. It also takes zeal, will, and concentration to live the wisdom of no escape, no hiding out, no denial. This morning, after I finished a really beautiful yoga practice, I learned that the third grant that we were exploring rejected my proposal. And it's really discouraging and really disheartening. And I had all these feelings of impatience arise and panic. It's hard to trust when I keep getting rejections. It's so easy to despair. And not only that, it's so easy to start telling stories that it's personal. I didn't write a good enough grant. I wasn't convincing enough in my letter of intent, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is that the United States prefers to fund projects of violence and aggression to a much greater degree than projects of healing, spiritual well-being, and freedom. I don't need to be more convincing. I simply need to stay on task, to keep working at sharing the stories of reimagining recovery and support. People will be convinced when they are, in their own time and in their own way. In the meantime, I keep showing up, telling the story over and over and over again, because it matters. Patience, wholeheartedness, these wise efforts and actions will prevail, and eventually higher aspirations will be reached. One of our beloved Sangha members today shared that they've experienced a recurrence of symptoms. It can be very discouraging, really disheartening. There are social narratives in the world of recovery that would have a person convinced that they're a failure. Today I heard about labels like, you're one of those unfortunates that will never find abstinence or sobriety. It's just the perpetuation of nonsensical thinking. However, this level of ignorance causes great suffering. And so what we are imagining, reimagining in this Buddhist practice is to understand these conditions well enough that we heal them. We bring harmony and balance to ourselves, grace and forgiveness, compassion, kindness, gentleness, curiosity. Recurrences are a normal part of recovery, and they can be devastating, yes, and they can also reveal the greatest insights and wisdom to how to do better, differently next time. And then we let go and move on. friends. One of the images that I really love has to do with the three jewels of Buddhism, the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. Impatience, when it arises for me, can be very lonely and disconnected. And when I'm feeling kind of blah about things, insecure and doubtful, it's really hard to lead with my heart, to put my heart out there, to have it poked at and hit. So I remember these three jewels. And I remember that the ride is like being in an airplane in a way, the journey that is, and it's turbulent at times. And so I think of the Buddha as the captain. This is your captain. And I think of the Dharma as the oxygen mask. And we put on our own oxygen masks first. And we take deep breaths for this practice. And when I think about the Sangha, I think about the Sangha as my seat belt, my safety belt. Hands wrapped around my waist, even over my shoulder, hands on my heart from all Sangha members, keeping me secure, keeping me safe, enabling me to ride the bounces of this turbulence in the comfort, in the love of being held. The other thing to remember about this analogy, this metaphor, is that where there's turbulence, there's also smooth sailing. The journey is always both. Alrighty, friends. Come on back. Alrighty. So friends, let's go ahead and end our practice today with a dedication of merit. And I'd like to invite you to return to a posture and make it a noble posture. So sit nice and tall. Sit as tall as you can with comfort. Soft belly, strong back. Roll your shoulders back. Open up the chest a little bit so you're leading with the heart. Heart forward, wholeheartedness, and breathe. The Buddha taught that whenever we come into the presence of the Dharma, we cultivate positive karma, positive actions. And the merit of these positive actions can ripple out into the world and inspire and encourage others to allow their actions to be positive as well. And so on and so on and so on. So what we've done here today in goodness can reach all over the world in goodness. So we dedicate this practice specifically to make sure we bring into the light anyone who is suffering in active substance use and misuse. Anyone who is seeking housing and struggling to find it. Anyone who is looking for good food. Anyone who is in the hospital for whatever the reason. Anyone in jail and prison. Anyone isolating alone in their apartments, home, or even at work. Anyone out there in the world suffering for whatever reason. May the goodness and the beauty and the love of this practice, the merit of all of it, reach out, find these people, wrap them up in universal compassion, and may they at some point awaken to how well they are loved, how well they are held, and how deeply and warmly they are regarded. And this, my friends, includes each of us. May you all have peace. May you all be blessed. Namaste. Thank you, friends. See you later. So good. Bye, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So good to have you all. Bye, friends.
Like impatience would be more of greed as opposed to patience.
That's what I
No,
meant.
no, okay. Yeah, you said patience.
Bye, Bonnie. Bye-bye. Yukio,
No, it should have been clear
do
from
you
the
need a
next one, so
posse
I-
of advocates to go
Not
with
satisfied
you?
in the present moment.
Yeah.
Possibly, I mean,
It would be really smart to do that, just to hold the walls around you, because it's real what you're doing.
yeah, I mean.
I would volunteer.
I was totally.
I'd be an auntie.
Thank you.
Totally on board with that.
I'd so be an auntie to advocate to help you.
Just to stand by and read the signs, go this way, that way, because that's real. It touched me greatly. I get that.
Me too.
Even someone who hasn't had that much involvement with the court systems, like it charts most of us into a slightly traumatic